Happy New Year! It is not too late to start setting intentions. And I say that because I just led an intention setting workshop for Nomi, and I'm going to walk you through everything that we did so that you can do it too. So first and foremost, why are intentions powerful? Before we get too into it, I want to just level with you on why I choose to set intentions rather than resolutions. The biggest thing is because intentions carry with them a certain amount of mental flexibility. And oftentimes when we set resolutions or goals for the year, we try and predict our lives so far in the future that we end up failing or not actually reaching those goals and beating ourselves up in the process simply because things happened in our lives that we could never have predicted. Intentions, on the other hand, start with how we want to be in the world rather than what we want to do in the world, which allows us to look at ourselves and our lives day over day, week over week, month over month, and be flexible in how that actually entails us showing up in the world and what we do. So let's get to it. How do you set meaningful intentions? There are many, many ways to do so, but this is one of my favorite ways. So first, I like to use what's called the Wheel of Life. Many of you might have heard of this before. It's a really common tool in therapy, counseling, coaching, etc. Essentially, it allows us to take a bird's eye view of the different domains in our life and assess where we're at this moment in time and where we want to be in each of those domains. If you don't have the worksheet that goes along with this, that's totally okay. All you need to do is draw a circle, and I recommend starting with 6 slices of pie, although it's entirely up to you. You may have more quadrants that you want to examine or fewer quadrants that you want to examine. So step number 1, once you have your circle, is to label your quadrant. So for example, I've put on mine relationships, finances, family, friends, work, and self. Now, I don't force anyone to do anything, but I would highly, highly recommend that one of your slices is your relationship with yourself. So I put that under self, but phrase that however you want. That's because we often leave ourselves out in these things, and it's a really important domain of our lives to focus on. So once you have your domains highlighted, I want you to give it a current score from 1 to 10. Now, scoring can often trigger our inner critic or our self-judge because we're trying to label ourselves as 10, which is the most victorious, or 1, which is a complete failure. I'm going to invite you to see the scale in a different way. On this scale of 1 to 10, 1 represents your area or domain being as unbalanced as it gets. 10, on the other hand, would mean that there's very little room for improvement, meaning that it's really great, you're happy with it, it's balanced, mwah, chef's kiss. I really recommend going with your gut. This is not for the purpose of judging yourself, it's for the purpose of getting a snapshot of where you're at right now. So for example, in relationships, I feel I'm at a 5. In work, I feel like I'm at a 6. In my relationship, I'm probably at a 4. And those scores are definitely lower than I'd want them to be, but I'm not going to allow my brain to go there yet because that's not the purpose of where we're at. We're just trying to drop a pin in the map of where we are at now. The next step is to think of the next ideal score that you want to be at in that category. And I say ideal score because obviously we all want to be at 9s. We definitely have perfectionists in us that say everything should be a 9 or a 10 across the board. Is that realistic? Probably not, at least not for most of us. And so it's really important to understand that we only have a certain amount of energy that we can pour into our year. So first, take a look at all of your domains and have a think to yourself, what's my priority? There's a lot of interdependencies. There were 2 great pieces of wisdom that were shared with the group when we did this as a group workshop. One was that by raising things like your health, you might raise things like your relationships because you could be doing fun things with other people or vice versa. So they are interdependent and nothing is in isolation of itself. The other really valuable piece of insight was around how limited our resources are in terms of energy and time, and money being one as well. So when we think about our priorities across domains, it's really important to understand that there's only so much that we can tackle at any one time. So where it's at right now, ask yourself which one of these domains is your biggest priority and start there with your next score. One of the participants recommended that across all of the different domains, all 6 of them in this case, you only have 15 points to improve. So distribute them accordingly. But how you do this step is very much up to you. And once you have your current score and ideal score, we're going to talk about ingredients to make a recipe for that new score. I picked up a little ingredients list myself, but you can look up a values list, a strengths list, or anything like that to get some idea for some of the ingredients that could make this new score for you. And I'll give you a personal example. In order to get my work life from a 6 to an 8, some of the ingredients that are going to make that recipe possible are wisdom, humility, knowledge, curiosity, creativity, autonomy, collaboration. I could go on, but those are what intuitively came to mind for me there. Do this for all of your domains. At this point in the journey, there's kind of a choose your own adventure. You can take the macro look at your life or the micro look at your life. We're going to start with the macro first. The macro version is to look at your entire wheel of life and all of the beautiful ingredients. Did any repeat? Are there any patterns? Are there any ingredients in particular that are really calling out to you? For the next step, you can choose 3 to 5 of them. It doesn't mean that you can't have the others involved. It's just easier to work with when you have only a few. If you choose to go the micro route, take one wedge and choose 3 to 5. And then you can repeat this process for all of the other wedges. On a fresh sheet of paper or on the next page of the workbook, put your 3 to 5 ingredients at the top so you know what you're focusing on. And then we're gonna ask ourselves 2 very important questions. If I were to honor ingredient, what would that look like? How would I be showing up? What might someone see me doing? That's one category. The other side of it is if I were honoring ingredient, what might get in my way? This essentially creates your out and in list. Out being the things that you're going to let go of, which are the things that might get in your way, and in being the things that you're going to be inviting in. These might be states of mind, actual activities, but what's really important is to remember that these are only ideas. These are only things that are coming to our mind right now. We're giving ourselves permission to change our mind, to build in flexibility, and to know that when life happens, we might have different ideas or things that seemed possible originally might not be possible anymore. That's okay. So for me, the 3 things that I chose are creativity, trust, and kindness. The things that are going to get in my way are the need to sound smart, being in a rush, my current relationship with my judge, and a lot of other things. The things that I want to invite in are staying in curiosity longer, sharing my gifts, a random act of kindness every day, doing my morning pages of reflection, not bringing my phone when I make my cup of coffee, and a whole bunch of other ideas. Now I have a really great list of things that I can draw from in order to honor these intentions. And I can change it every day. So in reality, what I'm going to do is wake up in the morning and think about these ingredients. Ask myself what ingredient would really bring to life my existence in this 24-hour cycle. And then I can ask myself what that would look like given the day I'm going to have ahead. Today, I have tons of meetings. So this morning when I woke up, the intention that I wanted to set was mostly around the ingredient of kindness. And this means kindness to myself. So what I did was I gave myself the gift of a lush breakfast out so I didn't have to cook this morning so that I could have a nutritious, not rushed breakfast to get through all of these wonderful Zoom calls that I have with people that I love in a mood that's going to hopefully land me at the end of the day in a really nice place. I hope that this was helpful. Again, this is only one way to set intention, so I really encourage you to do some exploration and see what works for you. If you want this particular worksheet, I will link it below. Otherwise, thanks for listening and be good to you.